This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Top oil exporter Saudi Arabia is expected to cut prices for most of the crude grades it sells to Asia in October after Middle East benchmark Dubai slumped last month, industry sources said on Monday. The October official selling price for flagship Arab light crude is expected to fall between 50 and 70 cents a barrel, 3 of 5 refining sources said in a Reuters survey, to track a similar trend for Dubai price spreads last month. Such a price cut would also reflect weak refining margins, especially in China, where sluggish manufacturing and property sectors are squeezing fuel demand, the sources said.
Oil prices extended losses from the end of last week on expectations of higher OPEC plus production from October, while signs of sluggish demand in China and the United States raised concerns about future consumption growth. Brent crude futures were down 20 cents, or 0.3%, at $76.73 a barrel by 12:21 GMT, while U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude slipped 19 cents, or 0.3%, to $73.36. Brent and WTI had lost 1.4% and 3.1% respectively on Friday. With momentum skewed to the downside, there is a real risk that prices could revisit a range at multi-month lows, said Chris Weston, head of research at brokerage Pepperstone.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
A Chinese solar sector association and the country's industry ministry are proposing reforms to power plant tendering to address plunging equipment prices that have led manufacturers to make losses. China's solar panel producers have urged government intervention to shore up prices kept low by overcapacity, even as China's trading partners have complained about the effects of overproduction on their own domestic industries. Under the proposed plan, buyers would take non-price factors into account in procuring solar equipment and adopt a more in-depth two-stage tendering system, the China Photovoltaic Industry Association said in a WeChat post late Monday.
Saudi Arabia and Libya have financed the purchase of gas cargoes worth at least $200 million to help Egypt ease its energy crisis this summer amid a steep decline in domestic gas output, two industry sources familiar with the matter said. Egypt needs some $2 billion worth of gas to cover summer demand through October, according to one of the two sources familiar with the government's plan. But a hard currency crisis means it lacks funds to fully cover imports of liquefied natural gas. Without support from our friends in the Gulf, we won't be able to pay for these shipments, one of the sources said. He added officials were looking to raise more money from allies. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. Aluminium prices fell to a 2-week low on Monday after data showed factory activity in top consumer China slowed further in August. 3-month aluminium on the London Metal Exchange fell as low as $2,411 a metric ton, its weakest since August 19, and was 1.3% down at $2,415 during official rings. China's manufacturing data sank to a 6-month low last month, with owners struggling for orders, an official manufacturing survey showed on Saturday.
Gold prices fell to their lowest in more than a week on Monday as the US dollar firmed, while market focus shifted to a series of economic data due this week for clues to the extent of rate cuts at the Federal Reserve's September meeting. Spot gold fell 0.1% to $2,501.06 per ounce, as of 10:34 Greenwich Mean Time, after dipping to its lowest since August 23 earlier in the session. U.S. gold futures rose 0.2% to $2,533.40. Trading is expected to be light with U.S. markets closed for a holiday.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Strategie Grains lowered its monthly forecast for this year's rapeseed harvest in the European Union, its fourth successive reduction, as the EU is set to increase imports this season to compensate for the loss. The consultancy estimates the EU rapeseed harvest at 16.9 million metric tons, 340,000 tons below its estimate released late July and more than 15% below last year's level. Expected production was revised down mainly in France, Germany, the Baltic states, Hungary, and Slovakia, it said. That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.